The 7 stages of consciousness awakening that ancient mystics never revealed. What if everything you think you know about spiritual awakening is just the beginning? In our modern world, we've come to see awakening as a single, blissful event, a sudden flash of insight, a moment of peace, a destination to be reached. But what if that flash of light is not the destination, but merely the first lamp lit at the entrance to a vast and ancient path? The great mystery schools of the past, the Gnostics, the Hermeticists, the sages of the East, knew this. They understood that true, lasting transformation was not a single event, but a profound, structured, and often perilous journey of the soul. They didn't just hope for awakening, they engineered it. They preserved a complete roadmap, a step-by-step guide through the different elevations of consciousness, a sacred technology for the soul that has been largely forgotten or hidden in plain sight. In this journey together, we will unveil this secret roadmap. We will walk the 7 profound stages of consciousness that the ancient mystics knew, but rarely revealed openly. This is not just a theory, it is an invitation to discover exactly where you are on the path, and to see the magnificent journey that lies ahead. The 7 stages of awakening. Stage 1. The stirring, the whisper of another world. The great journey of awakening does not begin with a thunderclap, but with a whisper. It is a subtle, quiet, and often deeply unsettling feeling that arrives uninvited, in the midst of a life that may, by all external measures, appear to be perfectly fine. This is the first stage, the stirring. It is the divine homesickness of the soul, the first faint, beautiful, and sometimes painful note of a forgotten music beginning to play in the deepest chambers of your heart. The signs and symptoms of this stage are often mistaken for modern malaise, for boredom, for burnout, for a midlife crisis. It is the feeling of the hollow victory. You get the promotion you worked so hard for. You move into the beautiful house. You achieve the goal you have been chasing for years, and you stand in the center of your new reality, feeling a profound and inexplicable emptiness. You think to yourself, this is it. This is what it was all for. The external world applauds your success, but your inner world feels strangely silent, unmoved. This can manifest as a quiet, persistent discontent. Your life is good. You have friends. You have a family. You have security. There is nothing overtly wrong, and yet there is a persistent, low-level hum of meaninglessness, a gray filter that seems to have descended over a once colorful world. The things that used to bring you joy now feel like distractions. The routines that once gave you comfort now feel like the bars of a very comfortable cage. You may feel like a stranger in your own life, an actor who has been playing a role for so long that you have forgotten your own true face. You look in the mirror and see a successful, functioning adult, but the eyes that look back at you feel like they belong to someone else entirely. Another common sign of the stirring is a new and inexplicable fascination. You find yourself inexplicably drawn to the very topics we explore here, to ancient history, to forgotten myths, to the mysteries of consciousness, to the lives of the sages and the mystics. A book on Hermeticism seems to leap off the shelf at you. You find yourself staying up late, falling down a rabbit hole of videos about sacred geometry or the Gnostic Gospels. This is not an intellectual pursuit, it is a magnetic pull. It is your soul, beginning to recognize the language of its true home, and it is leaning in, trying to hear the whisper more clearly. What is this whisper? What is the source of this divine discontent? The ancient mystics understood this feeling perfectly. The Gnostics taught that every human being carries within them a divine spark, a fragment of a perfect, luminous and eternal reality they called the pleroma. They believed that this spark, trapped in the flawed and forgetful world of matter, has a deep innate memory of its origin. The stirring, from this perspective, is the spark beginning to remember. It is the feeling of a celestial homesickness, the soul beginning to yearn for its true home in the realm of light, a home it cannot name, but can profoundly, and sometimes painfully, feel. The Hermetic tradition offers another lens. Its first great principle is that the all is mind. The universe is mental. It teaches that the reality we perceive is a mental creation. The stirring, then, is the first hint that the mental universe we inhabit is vastly larger and deeper than our small conscious ego mind. It is the first knock on the door from a greater universal consciousness, a gentle but persistent reminder that the small walled garden of your known reality is not the whole world. There is a vast and magnificent wilderness just beyond the gate, and your soul is beginning to long for the journey. This initial stage is not about finding answers. It is about learning to honor the question. It is about treating the feeling of emptiness not as a pathology to be medicated, but as a sacred summons, an invitation to a journey that will ultimately lead you back to the wholeness you have been longing for. And so we begin with our first practice, a way to honor this whisper. Find a quiet moment, turn off the noise of the world, close your eyes, place a hand on your heart and feel its gentle rhythm. Now ask your heart, not your mind, this one simple question: what do I truly long for? Do not search for an answer in words. Do not accept the ego's immediate pre-programmed answers of more money, a new relationship, or a better job. Gently set those aside. Listen instead for the very first feeling that arises in the silence after the question. It may be a feeling of peace, of freedom, of connection, of wildness, of silence. That feeling, that simple non-verbal resonance, is the first true whisper from your soul. It is the first note of your unheard symphony, and your only task in this first stage is to learn to recognize its sound. Stage 2. The seeking, the great search. The first stage of awakening, the stirring, is a passive state. It is a feeling that happens to you. It is a quiet, haunting whisper of a question, a divine homesickness for a home you cannot name. Stage 2. The seeking is the active, and often frantic, response to that call. The whisper has now become a roar in your heart. The quiet discontent has blossomed into a sacred and burning hunger. A fire has been lit within you, a fire that demands fuel, and that fuel is knowledge, is meaning, is truth. This is the stage of the great search, the beginning of your conscious, deliberate journey as a seeker. The signs and symptoms of this stage are unmistakable. It is characterized by a voracious and sometimes obsessive appetite for spiritual and philosophical information. You become a starving person who has just been shown the location of a secret, infinite library. You begin to devour books, to consume podcasts, to stay up late into the night, falling down one YouTube rabbit hole after another. One week you are deep in the elegant discipline of Stoicism, reading Marcus Aurelius and Seneca. The next you are wrestling with the profound non-dualism of the Advaita Vedanta. You discover the Gnostics, then the Hermeticists, then the mystics of the Christian and Sufi traditions. You find the psychological maps of Carl Jung, the reality-bending techniques of Neville Goddard, the compassionate mindfulness of the Buddhists. Your mind for the first time feels truly alive, electrified by the realization that the great questions you thought were yours alone have been asked and explored by the wisest minds in human history. This intellectual feast soon gives way to a desire for direct experience. Reading about meditation is no longer enough. You must practice it. You might find yourself in the austere silence of a Vipassana retreat, diligently watching your breath, or in the vibrant, energetic chaos of a Kundalini yoga class, feeling strange and powerful energies move through your body for the first time. You might explore breathwork, shamanic journeying, or any number of paths that promise a direct taste of the reality you have only been reading about. Underneath all this activity, there is a single, powerful, and often unconscious driving belief, the belief that there is one master key. You are searching for the one perfect system, the one true teacher, the one final piece of information that will unlock the entire puzzle and provide you with a permanent, unshakable sense of peace and meaning. This is the hallmark of the seeking stage. It is a noble and absolutely necessary quest, a gathering of all the potential maps and tools you will need for the deeper journey ahead. The ancient wisdom traditions understood this stage perfectly. In the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas, a text filled with the secret sayings of Jesus, we find a profound description of this very process. In saying 2, it is written, "Let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over the all." This is a perfect, condensed roadmap of the entire awakening journey. The call to continue seeking is the great imperative of this second stage. It honors the sacred hunger for truth, but it also contains a startling prophecy. It says that when you find what you are looking for, the immediate result is not bliss, but to become troubled. This is the great shattering of the ego, the dark night of the soul, which we will explore in our next stage. And only after that shattering, comes the astonishment of true seeing, and the final mastery of a life lived in alignment with the whole. Carl Jung, too, saw this seeking not as a hobby, but as the most fundamental and important of all human drives. It is the quest for the self, the search for the divine, whole center of our own being. He understood that this journey often begins externally, by seeking the self in the form of a perfect philosophy or an enlightened guru. This leads us to the great danger of this stage in our modern world, the trap of spiritual consumerism. Our culture has a genius for taking that which is sacred and turning it into a product to be bought and sold. The spiritual path is no exception. It is easy in this stage to become a collector of spiritual information, to fill your shelves with books you have not integrated, to attend a dozen different workshops, to gather a vast intellectual knowledge about the path, without ever truly taking a single courageous step on the path. The ego loves this game. It can endlessly decorate itself with the costume of a spiritual person, using its knowledge as a new, more subtle, and more sophisticated mask. This is also the stage of the guru trap. In your desperate hunger for answers, it is natural to project your own inner authority onto an external teacher who seems to have it all figured out. This too is a necessary part of the journey. A true teacher can hold up a mirror, can give you the tools, and can point the way. But the ultimate goal of any true master is not to be worshipped. It is to make themselves obsolete. They are there to consistently and lovingly point you back to the one true guru, the divine spark of wisdom that resides in your own heart. To remain a follower forever is to stay in the seeking stage indefinitely, forever admiring another's connection to the divine, without ever fully claiming your own. The purpose of this great search, then, is not to find the final, perfect answer from an external source. It is to gather enough information and have enough experiences to realize that no single external system will ever be the master key. The purpose of this stage is to clarify your questions. And so, we come to our practice for this stage. Take your journal, and at the top of a clean page write the heading, "The 3 Great Questions of My Soul." Now, without overthinking, without censoring, allow yourself to write down the first 3 questions that emerge from the deepest part of your being. They might be, who am I, really, or what is my true purpose, or how can I heal? These questions, the ones that truly burn within you, are your personal sacred compass. They are more valuable than any answer you could ever be given by another. For it is in following the thread of these honest, heartfelt questions that you will be led, with unerring precision, to the next, more challenging and more profoundly transformative stage of your awakening. Stage 3. The shattering, the dark night of the soul. The second stage of the seeking is a gathering of fuel, a collecting of maps. It is an expansion of the mind, but it is not, in itself, the transformation. The knowledge you have gathered can lead to a dangerous kind of spiritual pride, a state where the ego simply creates a new, more sophisticated mask for itself, the mask of the spiritual person. The psyche, in its infinite wisdom, has a built-in corrective for this. The path of the seeker, if followed with sincere intensity, does not lead to a comfortable plateau of intellectual understanding. It leads with unerring and terrifying precision directly to the edge of a cliff. Stage 3 is the moment you are pushed off that cliff. This is the shattering. This is the great crucible of the awakening journey, the stage that separates the curious tourist from the committed pilgrim. It is the trial by fire, the dark wilderness that lies between your old, limited self and the magnificent whole being you are destined to become. The ancient mystics and modern psychologists alike speak of this stage with a profound sense of reverence and caution, for it is here that the ego dissolves, illusions fall away, and you meet your own shadow face to face. As the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas reveals in a stark and powerful warning, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. This is that moment of bringing forth. It is what Carl Jung called the essential and unavoidable work of making the darkness conscious. The signs and symptoms of the shattering are often deeply painful and can be mistaken for a severe psychological breakdown. It is a profound state of disillusionment. All the spiritual books that once brought you comfort now feel like empty words. The teachers you once admired are revealed to be flawed human beings. The very concept of a benevolent, guiding universe can feel like a cruel joke. This is often accompanied by a deep existential depression, a state of profound meaninglessness that the mystics called the dark night of the soul. The old meanings that structured your life, your career, your relationships, your ambitions have turned to dust. But a new, more authentic source of meaning has not yet been born. You are in a state of agonizing suspension, a void between worlds. This is the collapse of your old identity. The persona, the mask you have worn your entire life, begins to crack and crumble. The successful professional, the good person, the strong man, these roles are revealed to be hollow costumes, and you are left with a terrifying sense of nakedness and confusion. Who are you, without your story? This is the moment the ego, the separate sense of self, experiences its own death. It is a terrifying, disorienting, and profoundly lonely process. You may feel abandoned by God, lost in a dark and silent cosmos, and utterly, completely alone. But it is crucial to understand from the perspective of the soul that the dark night is not a punishment, but a purification. It is a sacred and necessary burning away of all that is false within you. Every illusion, every self-deception, every comfortable lie must be consumed by this fire, so that only the indestructible, authentic truth of your own being remains. Let us pause for a moment to honor this difficult and sacred stage. This is our mini practice. I invite you for the next 2 minutes to simply close your eyes, take a slow, deep breath, and I want you to bring your awareness to any uncomfortable feelings or memories that may be surfacing in your own life right now. It may be a feeling of sadness, of fear, of confusion. Instead of running from these feelings, as we are so often taught to do, I want you to simply greet them with a quiet, courageous compassion. Allow yourself to witness your own darkness, your own pain, your own confusion, knowing that you are safe in this sacred space. You are not trying to fix it or to change it. You are simply bringing forth what is within you, with the trust that this simple, loving awareness is the beginning of all healing. Stage 4. The surrender. The art of letting go. The experience of the shattering, the dark night of the soul, is one of intense and often agonizing struggle. The ego, faced with its own dissolution, fights with all of its power to maintain control. It thrashes against the darkness. It desperately seeks a new system to believe in, a new certainty to cling to. Stage 4 begins in the moment that this struggle ceases. It is the moment of profound and utter exhaustion, the moment you finally, completely give up the fight. And in that giving up, something miraculous occurs. This is the stage of the surrender. The signs and symptoms of this stage are a profound sense of release. The frantic, anxious energy of the spiritual search dissolves and is replaced by a quiet, and at first perhaps unsettling, sense of peace. You stop trying to fix yourself. You stop trying to achieve enlightenment. You simply allow yourself to be as you are, broken, confused, and empty. There is a new and growing sense of trust, a quiet faith that even in this state of not knowing, a deeper, more intelligent process is unfolding. This is the great turning point, the moment the path ceases to be an act of striving and becomes an art of allowing. The ancient wisdom traditions have a deep understanding of this state. In Taoism, it is known as Wu Wei, which is often translated as effortless action or non-doing. It is the art of acting in perfect alignment with the natural flow of the cosmos, the Tao, without the interference of the striving, willful ego. The sage does not try to swim against the current of the river. They learn to float, trusting that the river's own intelligence will carry them exactly where they need to go. Similarly, the Hermetic principle of rhythm teaches that all things have their tides, that the pendulum swing to one extreme is always followed by a swing to the other. The surrender is the moment you stop trying to hold the pendulum in the light and you allow it to complete its necessary swing into the darkness, knowing with a deep, quiet faith that it will, in its own perfect time, swing back. The modern application of this is to learn to distinguish between giving up and surrendering. Giving up is an act of the defeated ego. It is a state of bitter, hopeless despair. Surrendering, however, is a conscious and courageous act of the soul. It is an act of profound faith, a declaration of trust in a wisdom that is greater than your own mind. It is looking into the terrifying abyss of the dark night and saying, with a quiet and unwavering sincerity, I do not understand what is happening to me, but I trust this process. I let go. Our mini practice for this stage is a simple but powerful breathwork exercise designed to cultivate the physical sensation of letting go. I invite you to bring to mind a problem or a situation in your life that you have been struggling with, trying to control or to fix. Now, as you take a slow, deep breath in, I want you to visualize yourself gently holding on to this problem. And now, on the exhale, I want you to consciously and completely release it. Make a sound as you exhale, a sigh, letting the breath go completely. Visualize yourself handing this entire problem over to a greater, wiser intelligence. Let's do this 3 times. Inhale, holding the struggle. Exhale, completely and utterly releasing it. Inhale, holding the need to control. Exhale, surrendering to the flow. This is the physical practice of surrender. It is the art of getting out of your own way, so that the grace of the universe can finally begin its work. Stage 5. The seeing, the glimpse of the real. After the profound emptiness and stillness of the surrender, a new light begins to dawn. Having been emptied of your old, limited self, you have now become a vessel for something new, something vast and beautiful to pour in. Stage 5 is the first true fruit of the awakening journey. It is the moment of direct insight, of profound, unmediated perception. This is the stage of the seeing. This is the experience of gnosis. The signs and symptoms of this stage are moments of spontaneous, and often breathtaking, ego dissolution. For a moment or for a few hours, the sense of being a separate I completely vanishes, and you are flooded with a feeling of profound, blissful, and loving unity with all of life. The world, which may have seemed gray and lifeless during the dark night, is now revealed to be intensely, vibrantly, and miraculously alive. A tree is no longer just a tree. It is a magnificent, breathing, and conscious being. You may feel a deep, empathic connection to other people, to animals, to the very earth itself. There is an unshakable, noetic conviction that the universe is not a random dead machine, but a single living and profoundly intelligent organism, and that you are an inseparable and beloved part of it. This is the lived experience of the great Hermetic axiom, as above, so below. You are no longer just thinking about the idea that the microcosm and the macrocosm are a reflection of each other. You are directly perceiving it. You feel the entire universe within your own heart, and you feel your own heart as the heart of the entire universe. The Gnostic Gospel of Mary describes this state of undivided awareness, where the separation between the inner and the outer, the spiritual and the material, has been healed. The modern application of this stage connects deeply to the mysteries of quantum consciousness. The observer effect in quantum physics demonstrates that the act of conscious observation is inextricably linked to the reality that is being observed. The universe, at its most fundamental level, seems to respond to mind. The state of the seeing is the experiential realization of this truth. You understand, not as a theory but as a direct fact, that your own consciousness is not a passive witness to the world, but is an active and creative participant in its very existence. You are not just a character in the play, you are a co-author of the script. Our mini practice for this stage is an exercise in pure Gnostic seeing. I invite you to find a simple, natural object, a leaf, a stone, a cloud in the sky. For 60 seconds, your only task is to look at it without naming it, without judging it, without thinking about it. Do not say, "That is a green leaf with 5 points." Simply witness its pure, silent, magnificent existence. Try to see it as if you were a newborn child with no pre-existing concepts or labels. In these moments of pure, non-judgmental witnessing, you are practicing the art of the seeing. You are temporarily silencing the ego's need to categorize and control reality, and you are opening a space for a direct, unmediated perception of the world in all its miraculous and ever-present being. Stage 6. The service, the overflow of the heart. The profound and blissful experience of the seeing, the direct gnosis of your unity with all of life, is so beautiful that it can be tempting to want to stay there forever, to retreat from the messy world of humanity, and to remain in a state of solitary cosmic bliss. But the true and final test of an authentic awakening is what happens next. The energy of the divine, when it is truly integrated, does not lead to a state of passive withdrawal. It leads with an inevitable and joyful force to a state of action in the world. Stage 6 is the natural and unforced result of true seeing. It is the service. The signs and symptoms of this stage are a profound and often surprising shift in your life's central motivation. The ego's driving question is always, what can I get? What can I get to make myself feel more safe, more loved, more important? After the experience of unity, this question is replaced by a new, more joyful, and more powerful question from the soul. What can I give? A natural, unforced, and deeply joyful desire to help, to create, to heal, and to share the wisdom that you have discovered begins to flow through you. This is not born from a sense of grim duty or self-sacrifice. It is the simple, natural, and joyful overflow of a heart that has realized it is not separate from the hearts of others. The ancient wisdom traditions are unanimous on this point. The ultimate expression of enlightenment is compassion in action. In Mahayana Buddhism, the highest ideal is the bodhisattva, a being who has reached the brink of final nirvana, but who voluntarily chooses to reincarnate, to return to the world of suffering, out of a profound compassion for all beings who have not yet awakened. Jesus, in his teachings, constantly emphasized this principle that it is in giving that we receive, that to be the greatest you must be the servant of all. And Carl Jung taught that the truly individuated person, the one who has done the deep work of becoming whole, has a natural healing and ordering effect on their family, their community, and the culture around them, often without even trying. Their very state of being becomes an act of service. The modern application of this is to reframe our understanding of what service truly means. It does not necessarily mean you have to abandon your life and start a non-profit or become a spiritual teacher, though for some it might. Service in its deepest sense is the act of sharing your most authentic, joyful gift with the world, without the ego's constant need for reward or recognition. It can be a grand mission, but it can also be as simple and as profoundly healing as learning to listen with your full, loving, undivided presence to another human being. It can be the act of bringing a sense of calm and integrity to a chaotic workplace. It can be raising a conscious, compassionate child. It can be creating a beautiful garden, writing a beautiful song, or cooking a beautiful meal. It is any act, no matter how small, that adds to the sum total of love, of beauty, and of consciousness in the world. Our mini practice for this stage is a simple reflection on your unique gift. I invite you to ask your soul this question: what is the one gift that I most want to share with the world? Do not think in terms of what is practical or profitable. Think in terms of what brings you the most profound and authentic joy. That joy is the signature of your soul's purpose. It is the clue to the unique and beautiful note that you, and only you, can contribute to the great symphony of life. Your service is to find that note and to sing it with all your heart. Stage 7. The seamless life. The ordinary miracle. After the profound journey through the darkness of the shattering, the release of the surrender, the bliss of the seeing, and the joyful expression of the service, we arrive at the final, and perhaps most subtle and beautiful stage of awakening. This is the stage of complete and total integration. It is the end of the spiritual search, not because you have found all the answers, but because you have finally stopped asking the question. This is stage 7, the seamless life. The signs and symptoms of this stage are a profound sense of ordinariness. The separation between your spiritual life and your ordinary life completely dissolves. There are no longer spiritual activities like meditation and unspiritual activities like washing the dishes. Every single moment, every single act becomes an opportunity for presence, for love, for service. The need for dramatic peak experiences falls away, because the baseline state of your being is one of quiet, constant, and unwavering peace. You are no longer a seeker, because you have realized that what you are searching for is the very essence of who you are. A state of deep, unshakable peace and purpose exists within you, a silent, luminous core that is not touched by the inevitable storms and challenges of the outer world. The ancient wisdom for this stage is best captured by the famous Zen saying, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." The outer circumstances of your life may not change at all. You still have to pay your bills, to do your laundry, to navigate the complexities of human relationships. But the consciousness with which you perform these acts has been revolutionized. The chopping of the wood is no longer a chore, it is a moving meditation. The carrying of the water is no longer a burden, it is an act of loving service to your own body and to your family. The ultimate goal of the spiritual path is not to escape the mundane world, but to infuse it with the sacred, to find the miraculous in the ordinary. The modern application of this is to move beyond the subtle addiction to spiritual highs and peak experiences that can often characterize the seeking stage. The awakened life is not a constant blissful fireworks show. It is a state of deep, unwavering and peaceful presence in the very heart of ordinary everyday reality. It is the final integration of the human and the divine, the finite and the infinite, the sacred and the mundane. Our final mini-practice, then, is the practice of the seamless life itself. I invite you for the next hour after watching this video to choose one simple, ordinary activity. It could be cooking a meal, cleaning a room, or going for a walk. And for the duration of that activity, your only task is to see it as the most important spiritual practice in the world. Bring your full, loving, undivided presence to it. Feel the sensation of the water on your hands as you wash the dishes. Notice the intricate patterns in the grain of the wood as you sweep the floor. Feel the sensation of your feet on the earth as you walk. This is the ultimate practice. It is the art of finding the kingdom of heaven not in a distant future or a faraway land, but right here, right now, in the simple, profound and ordinary miracle of your own life. The courage to see. And so we arrive at the end of our journey, at the final, humbling and awe-inspiring truth. We began with a single provocative question. What if the door to enlightenment and the door to madness were the very same door? We have traveled through the modern science and the ancient phenomenology of the mystical experience, that sacred and terrifying moment, when the ego dissolves and the self expands to meet the infinite. We have explored the alchemical forge of the brain, seeing how this experience can permanently rewire our very being for a state of profound peace and unity. We have learned the art of cognitive reframing, the conscious and deliberate work of preparing the soul to receive this immense transformative fire. And with unflinching honesty, we have gazed into the abyss, acknowledging the very real and very serious dangers of this path, the shattering crisis of a spiritual emergency, the long, arid desert of the dark night of the soul, and the subtle, poisonous trap of egoic inflation. We have in the end honored both sides of the double-edged sword. Now we must return to that central, powerful metaphor. The mystical experience is a double-edged sword because it reveals an absolute and often terrifying truth that the small, separate and narrating self you have always believed yourself to be is a beautiful, necessary, but ultimately illusory construct. The truth it reveals is that you are infinitely more vast, more powerful, and more interconnected with the totality of the cosmos than your ego could ever comprehend. You are not a wave separate from the ocean, you are the entire ocean, experiencing itself as a wave. For a soul that has done the slow, patient, and often difficult work of preparing itself, of building a strong vessel, of studying the ancient maps, of learning the art of integration, this revelation is the ultimate liberation. It is the beginning of enlightenment. It is the end of the fear of death. It is the homecoming to your own true, boundless nature. But for a soul that is not yet ready, for a psyche that is still too fragile, for an ego that is too rigid or too wounded, this very same truth can be a shattering and unbearable burden. The light can be too bright to withstand. The void can be too vast to navigate. The sudden loss of the familiar self can feel not like liberation, but like a terrifying and catastrophic annihilation. The final message of this journey, then, is not one of fear, but of profound and sober respect. The path to awakening is real. The dangers are real. But the promise of a life lived in a state of unshakable peace, of profound and authentic purpose, and of a deep, loving and unbreakable connection to the very heart of all that is also utterly and completely real. The great and final call to action, therefore, is not to recklessly chase after flashes of cosmic light or to try to force open the doors of perception before your time. It is instead a call to commit to the slow, patient, and often unglamorous work of building a self that is strong enough, humble enough, and whole enough to hold the fire when it arrives. It is the call to build your container, to study the maps, to learn the sacred art of integration, to become in your own life a true alchemist of the soul. The door to the infinite is always present. It is here with you now in the silent, aware space between your thoughts, in the breathtaking beauty of a simple flower, in the profound, loving depths of your own heart. The ultimate question is not whether you can open it. The question is, have you done the courageous inner work to become the kind of person who can withstand the magnificent, the terrifying, and the world-altering light that will, when you are truly ready, come pouring through?